It is a blustery day out today, a high of 12 degrees Celsius, so it's quite cool. But we've got full sun, which is always nice. In the greenhouse here, I'm keeping the tropicals inside because it's quite cool outside. And they seem to do really well in here. The sun's shining on all the trees, the ficus are down here. So this is the ficus I had in the Toronto show, and it's really filled out since the Toronto show. It's just amazing, the growth on it in just 1 week. Yeah, I think in another week it'll be so dense you won't see any branches at all. It'll really take off. My camellia here is recovering really nicely from that severe root pruning I did. It's budding out all over. And a lot of people ask me, why didn't I just air layer it? And the reason is that it has a nice flare at the base of the trunks. And if I air layer that, I'd have to air layer it, really low to keep that flare. And you would get a line, a transition line from the air layer into the new root system. And that transition line, it stays for a long time. Like, sometimes it never goes away. You can always see that line where it was air layered. So I always try and keep the original roots on the tree if possible, and just prune them off short and regrow the root system that way. Over here, my hibiscus that I repotted recently is leafing out really nicely. So that's good. That one is also recovering well from the root pruning and repotting. Yeah. And the wisteria here, oh my goodness, is it growing? Let me move back further. Yeah, so the vines are winding around each other, and it's growing up into the greenhouse roof here. It's looking good. It is thickening up the trunk, and I've noticed I'm starting to get some buds on the trunk, so it's really healthy. The water tray underneath has some fertilizer in it, and I fill this water tray every day, and it uses it all by night. So yeah, very thirsty trees. Here's my cashew trees. We haven't seen these in a long time. So I just pruned them, cutting the top off the trees. They're getting very tall, and it generated new branches down below, and they're looking really good. My Brazilian rain tree here, I pruned that. I profile pruned it, and it's really leafing out now and growing with a ton of vigor. So generally on these Brazilian rain trees, I let the new shoots grow to the point where they start to turn from green, the stems or the branches. They get a little woody, so they start to turn a bit of a tan color, and then I prune them, and that keeps a ton of vigor in the tree. So all this new growth provides energy for the tree, keeps it vigorous, and then you prune it once again, and you get another flush of growth. And you'll get a lot of flush of growths over the summer. Like, you can prune these things at least once a month. Over back here is my bloodwood tree. It's leafing out really nicely. So I had this indoors in the plant room in the winter, and kind of early winter it defoliated. And I thought, oh no, that's not a good sign. And it stayed defoliated for quite a while, and then it got a flush of new growth, and then that new growth kind of died off. And I thought, oh, maybe it's too weak. So it sat bare for quite a while, and then when I brought it outside into the sun, it started leafing out again. It likes the heat of the greenhouse here and the sunlight on it, and yeah, it should grow well for the rest of the summer. Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Welcome to part 3 of working on my Dwarf Schefflera Banyan Style bonsai. I've had a busy last few days. We had the Kitchener-Waterloo Bonsai Society meeting where we started Korean maple seedlings, and then on Saturday I had the bonsai show, the bonsai at the Royal Botanical Gardens in Burlington, Ontario. What a fantastic show. So I'm back to working on my Dwarf Schefflera. So I've had a few days to kind of study the tree, and in part 3 I was going to work on some of the aerial roots. Before I do that, I've been looking at the tree a lot, and I think there's one more branch, a major one, that I can prune here. The branch kind of flows outwards, and then there's a vertical section, and then some more flowing branches coming off that. And I mentioned it looked a little heavy in this section. I may remove the thick aerial root, or I may try and reduce it, carving away part of it. That will come. But I think this vertical section could be removed. The branch still flows nicely out, and it would get rid of a little heaviness on that side of the tree. So I'll show you a close-up of that. Here is that section of the tree, and the vertical part is here. So there would be this branch and this one that's attached to it. I have this branch fanning out nicely from this back branch. And I think it's just a little cluttered in that section, and that vertical part doesn't flow very nicely. It's being fed by that thick aerial root, so it's very vigorous. And I think it would improve the tree if I remove that. It's a big cut. And I've been thinking about it a lot, but I think it's the best decision for the tree. So, here I go. I think I'm going to start with the ratcheting pruners and remove it. And then I can take the stump back to the branch. So I've got to get in here carefully, and off it comes. So a big cut coming up. Here I go. I didn't cut quite deep enough. I'm trying not to hit the branch behind it. So I'll go a little deeper here. It's hard to get in there. I may have to come in with the scissors and just finish that cut. There's just a little bit at the back holding the branch on still. Here I go. Yeah, it's kind of tight in here. And there we go. And there may be an aerial root attached to it. Yes, there is. That will need to come off also. So that's what's holding it. There's a thick aerial root here. I'm going to have to cut that off also. So here goes the aerial root, and there's the branch removed. So you can see it's quite a thick branch, and if you planted that as a cutting, it's a good start to another tree. I will keep it. I may plant it. I hate to throw away kind of mature branches like this. Now I've got to get the remains of this aerial root out of here. So I'll just snip it off like that. And I may be able to pry it out. I don't know if it's fused in there. No, it looks okay. It's not fused totally. But it may have another root. Yeah, it had another root coming off the aerial root. Okay, and the bottom of it is down here, so I can snip it off at the base by the soil level. And when I repot it, I'll be sorting these roots out even more. There, so that's snipped off. I should be able to pull it out. Hopefully. There may be, oh, there's another root attached to it. An aerial root off an aerial root. There's roots like crazy in this section of the tree. So I'm just coming in and trying to remove that. It's very difficult to get to. There we go. Okay. Now the aerial root should come out. There it is. So there's the aerial root that was growing off of that. Now I've got to clean up that trunk line so it doesn't have a big ugly stub there. So I will come in with my new pruners and try and get in here.
Move this branch out of the way and cut. It's going to leave a big scar, but I think it'll, in the long run, it'll be good for the tree, style-wise. Which is what bonsai is all about. That's looking pretty good. I may be able to get a little bit more. Push down and cut. Yeah, that's looking good. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. It's a nice clean cut. There's that other part of the aerial root here still too. I've got to see where that attaches. Okay, right here. So I can remove that one too. Aerial roots coming off that too. Really ramified these aerial roots. There, I got it. Now I just have to get it out of there. I'll get my tweezers. Yeah. And I can remove that section of the root I cut off. There it is there. So that's out. Now, I think it's time to look at the tree and see how it looks. So here is a look at the tree from the front. So the big branch I removed was here. And it certainly helped clean that section out, and it's a little more flowing. And I have this branch growing up in that area, so I'm not losing any density in the canopy or anything. It's just a little cleaner and more flowing, so I think that was a big improvement. Yeah, I'm very happy with that. And I think I probably will remove this thick aerial root. I do have another one behind it. It kind of curves out and down, but it's better. And I don't think I'll do it today because I want this wound to heal a bit first. If I cut, this part of the branch on top and then cut off a big cut on the bottom, there's not a lot of living tissue joining that branch up anymore. So I'm going to leave that for later. Once that wound on the top heals and the branches, the flow of the sap in the branch is restored, it's healed, I'll remove that aerial root. So next, I just want to take a look at any roots that are really obvious that aren't in a good position. So I'm not going to prune off, like this aerial root is on an angle here. I would ideally like them all to drop vertically. And if you look at any ficus tree or Schefflera, all the roots do drop vertically, the weight of gravity. But on a bonsai, they kind of grow anywhere, any direction, because they don't have all the weight of the root hanging down, keeping the vertical. So any roots that I can reposition, like this one on an angle, I can bring it over vertically, and this one I can make vertical, I'll keep on the tree. But if there's any roots that just aren't working at all, like even this one is on an angle, and I can straighten that one up. Yeah, so there'll be a lot of root work on the repotting. Over on the other side of the tree, I had this double aerial root, so let's have a look at that area. Here's that double aerial root here, and it's getting quite thick too. The one on the inside here is more vertical. This one kind of is very
curvaceous, and the other one's thinner and a little more vertical. So I don't need the double root there. So I think I'll take off just the one here. So here I go, and I'm not sure what tool to use here. I'll see if I can get in with the rounded cutters. And again, I have to be careful not to injure the root behind it. So I might just kind of, I'm going to rough cut it first, because then I can maybe move it out of position. So I will cut that one at the soil line here, like that. And then I can kind of bend it out of position so I have a space between the other root there. And then I can come in with my cutters and reduce it back. So here I go, big cut coming up. Just like that. Now, how does that look? That looks better. It's more vertical and it's thinner. So to control the thickness of your aerial roots, you have to prune the roots that are in the soil. So really cutting the roots back on this aerial root, because once they hit the soil, they develop their own radial root system, and if you let those roots grow, it'll thicken up very fast. So if I prune off almost all the roots off of this aerial root that's in the soil, I can keep it skinny. It won't stay skinny forever, but it stops at thickening up rapidly. So you can keep them on for a little longer. I'm looking down at the root base now, and I can see there's one root here. It starts from way back here, and then it crosses all these radial roots. And I'm going to remove it. It doesn't flow. It kind of makes a jumbled root system rather than a nice flowing root system. So I'm going to cut it off at the soil level here, and then I'll use my tweezers, get the end of it, move it up out of position, and cut it off like that. So that's an improvement to the root system. There's one kind of crossing these two roots here. I may be able to reposition that when I'm repotting it. The origin of the root is from a good location, so it doesn't have to come off. There is one behind this trunk line here that it's very thick and it kind of wraps around the trunk line. But I think that will fuse in nicely with age. I don't think it's something I have to remove, at least not at this point in time. There's just a bit of debris I'm going to remove out of here. Yeah, that's good. So let me have a final rotation and just look for other roots that just aren't working out. There's an aerial root coming off here that's on a bit of an angle, but I think I might be able to straighten that up a bit when I repot it. All these angular ones I can straighten up. That one too. This one is a bit of a problem. It's coming off here, it's in the back. I don't think I want to lose it. It's not vertical, but it's kind of an important root there. It's getting a little thick too, but I can minimize the root base underneath that root. There's one sticking up here. I can prune away. It's sticking up out of the soil. Yeah, get rid of that. There's one here that's coming on quite an angle. I think I can straighten that one up. Here's the remains of one of my roots here that I pruned off. I'm going to snip that off. There's a few roots here that, oh, that one did make it to the soil. It's very thin, but so that one can be repositioned. This one can be repositioned. I could clean that cut up a bit better there. At least I'll try.
again, when I repot it, it'll be easier to reach underneath the tree. I think that's good for now. Yeah, so I think that's it. Some root work, but not a lot. That'll come when I repot it. So at the Bonsai at the Royal Botanical Gardens show, there was a pot I really liked. It was a shallow oval pot that had kind of a grayish, like a light whitish gray glaze, and it was kind of mottled. It was really nice. I'll show you a picture of that. I really like this pot. It's a Japanese pot. It has beautiful feet on it. And the glaze is just wonderful. Yeah. It's an incredible forest. So I think a pot like that would look really good under this tree. So I'm going to look around for pots. If I find one that's even close to that, I'll get it. If not, it could go into another pot, maybe that Japanese one, that greenish one that it was in. I was going to try and grow this tree out a bit, thickening it up. And I did that over the winter, and I think it was not a good idea. I think if I let the tips grow, it just thickens everything up equally. So I'm better to prune it like this, get back buds, and just slowly work on the tree over many years. I think if you're in a rush to thicken it up, I think you'll lose a lot of your fine branching. That's what I was finding, that the shoots shade out all the branches you want to keep. So I think it's better to just be patient and slowly grow the tree like I've been doing over the last 25 years. And it's working. It's there's no big dramatic changes year to year, but it improves, and that's what you want in your bonsai, is slow, gradual improvement. And I mean, it looks good the way it is. If it was thicker, it would look better, I'm sure. But I'm in no hurry. Over the next 10 years, I'll just, gradually grow it a little larger, more ramification, and just try and improve it each year. And I think it'll become quite a nice tree. I'm going to plant up this cutting. I'll just put it in bonsai soil in a pot, keep it well watered, keep it in the greenhouse here, and it should grow roots. So I think that's it for the work on the Schefflera for today. Let's fly in, have a look at the tree before it fills back out with new leaves. And yeah, there'll be more work coming in the future for sure. Getting it in its new pot, doing lots of root pruning, trying to correct all those aerial roots. It should be quite an operation, that. And I'll do that kind of probably mid-July, when it's hot and humid out is the ideal time to do these trees, to repot them. So let's fly in now and have a look at the tree. The next video will be the bonsai at the Royal Botanical Gardens show. It's a really spectacular show with a lot of really famous bonsai. A lot of Nick Lentz's trees, an American bonsai artist. Yeah, you'll see some fantastic trees at this show, so that'll be coming up next. And that's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.